Campaigning to end today for second phase of the assembly elections of Bihar. Prime Minister Modi to address rallies in Chhapra, Motihari, Bagaha and Samastipur. Star campaigners and senior leaders of various political parties are making a last-ditch effort to woo the voters on the last day of the campaigning. The campaigning to also end for by-polls for 28 seats in Madhya Pradesh. Prime Minister Modi hits out at the opposition for indulging in politics after the Pulwama terror attack. Says when the entire nation was saddened by the loss of its brave sons, some parties were busy displaying their utter selfishness and arrogance. Calls on the international community to unite against the growing threat of terror. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says India to approach the world in a more proactive way in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. Delivering Sardar Patel lecture organized by the All India Radio. The minister says some of them will be driven by a global vision of its interests that it has developed steadily over the years. India continues to achieve significant success in its fight against COVID-19 as the number of infections crosses 4.63 lakh worldwide. Over 11.9 lakh people have died so far. The UK passes 10 lakh confirmed COVID-19 cases, a new milestone as the government considers a new national lockdown in England. Last weekend of campaigning hots up in the US. Democrat Joe Biden, joined by former President Barack Obama, says the US was done with the chaos of the Trump administration. While Trump holds a series of 4 rallies in Pennsylvania, says Pennsylvania would save the American dream. Early voting in the US election tops 90 million, sets the state for the highest participation rate in over a century. And Scottish actor Sean Connery, who played the role of James Bond in over 7 spy thrillers, dies at the age of 90. Connery was the first actor to portray the role of the British Secret Service agent Bond, which fetched him numerous awards including an Oscar, 2 BAFTA and 3 Golden Globes. Hello and good morning. You're watching DD India with me, Nancy Kohli. A top story: campaigning will end today for the second phase of the assembly elections in Bihar. The polling for the second phase will take place on 3rd November on 94 constituencies across 17 districts. The campaigning is on in full swing with the rallies of several leaders lined up for today. Prime Minister Modi will address rallies in Chhapra, Motihari, Bagaha and Samastipur. The State Deputy Chief Minister Sushil Modi, the Minister of State Anurag Thakur will also campaign today, while the RJD leader Tejasvi Yadav will hold 15 rallies across 5 districts. Meanwhile, yesterday, top leaders such as Chief Minister Nitish Kumar and the BJP President JP Nadda crisscrossed the state for the rallies.
The voters. State Chief Minister Nitish Kumar was at his oratorial best in Bhagalpur, where he attacked the opposition.
लोग सिर्फ परिवार के बारे में सोचते हैं, पति पत्नी बेटा बेटी, और हमारे लिए पूरा बिहार एक परिवार है और हम पूरे बिहार को एक परिवार मान करके सबकी सेवा करने में लगे रहते हैं.
BJP President JP Nadda continues to hold the party's mantle in the state. Attacking the opponents on all issues, Nadda remembered to keep the development agenda at the forefront of the campaign.
पिछला चुनाव नीतीश कुमार ने लालू जी के साथ लड़ा था कि नहीं लड़ा? महागठबंधन बना था कि नहीं बना था? क्यों टूटा? इसलिए टूटा क्योंकि नीतीश जी समझ गए कि मेरा सुशासन इन कुशासन वालों के साथ नहीं चल सकता है.
Tejasvi Yadav, on the other hand, continues to be the crowd puller for the Grand Alliance, addressing a string of rallies in the state.
जो असल मुद्दे क्या हैं बिहार के? दवाई, पढ़ाई, कमाई, सिंचाई, ये जो है असल मुद्दे. क्या पढ़ाई, दवाई, कमाई, सिंचाई नीतीश कुमार जी ने शिक्षा को पूरा चौपट कर दिया।
Birthday boy and LJP President Chirag Paswan visited the Patan Devi temple in Patna before starting the day's campaign. In a freak incident, Jan Adhikar Party's Pappu Yadav suffered minor injuries when the stage where he was addressing a rally collapsed. In the second phase, 94 constituencies will go to polls on 3rd of November. For the third and final phase, polling will be held on 7th of November in the remaining 78 constituencies. With input from Patna Bureau, DD India.
Prime Minister Modi has hit out at the opposition parties for their alleged stand on the Pulwama attack last year. Addressing the Ekta Divas parade at the Statue of Unity in Kevadia in Gujarat yesterday, Prime Minister Modi said that the country can never forget when India was mourning the death of its own sons. Some people were not a part of that grief. They were looking for selfish gains in the Pulwama attack. He added that now that the truth has been accepted in the neighbouring country's parliament, the real faces of the opposition parties have been exposed before the country. Prime Minister Modi also called the international community to unite against the increasing threat of terror. He said the unity of the world community is necessary for the peace and prosperity in the world.
पिछले दिनों पड़ोसी देश से जो खबरें आई है, जिस प्रकार वहां की संसद में सत्य स्वीकारा गया है, उसने इन लोगों के असली चेहरों को देश के सामने ला दिया है। अपने निहित स्वार्थ के लिए, राजनीतिक स्वार्थ के लिए ये लोग किस हद तक जा सकते हैं। पुलवामा हमले के बाद की गई राजनीति इसका बहुत बड़ा उदाहरण है। मैं ऐसे राजनीतिक दलों से, ऐसे लोगों से आग्रह करूंगा कि देश हित में, देश की सुरक्षा के हित में हमारे सुरक्षा बलों के मनोबल के लिए कृपा करके ऐसी राजनीति न करें, ऐसी चीजों से बचें।
Prime Minister Modi also expressed his concern over the way some people have come out in support of terror. He has urged upon the need for all the countries in the world, all the governments, all the religions to unite against the menace of terror. The Prime Minister said that a sense of peace, brotherhood and mutual respect is the true identity of humanity. He pointed out that no one can ever get welfare from terror violence.
कुछ लोग आतंकवाद के समर्थन में खुल करके सामने आ गए हैं। वो आज मानवता के लिए, विश्व के लिए, शांति के उपासकों के लिए एक वैश्विक चिंता का विषय बना हुआ है। आज के माहौल में दुनिया के सभी देशों को, सभी सरकारों को, सभी पंथों को आतंकवाद के खिलाफ एकजुट होने की सबसे ज्यादा जरूरत है।
Moving on now, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said that India will approach the world in a more proactive way in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. Delivering the Sardar Patel lecture organized by All India Radio last evening, the minister said that some of them will be driven by a global vision of its interests that it has developed steadily over the years. The minister also added that the pandemic has now shored up the perception of India as the pharmacy of the world. He said India not only ramped up production to meet a spike in the global demands, but actually supplied medicines to 150 countries, many of them on a grant basis.
Sardar Patel steered India through the immediate aftermath of partition and shaped the firm establishment of our modern nationhood. He left us with his dreams of an India that would take its due place in the Committee of Nations. But he also provided us the inspiration to traverse that pathway with determination. His assessment of the landscape and the hurdles that we may face was always grounded in realism. As we near the 75th year of our independence and seek to overcome an unexpected challenge, transforming this crisis into opportunity would surely be his way of responding.
External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar's lecture on Sardar Patel will be telecast on DD India at 10 in the morning today and 10 at night tonight. Moving on now to COVID-19 updates. While India has achieved a significant success in its fight against COVID-19 pandemic, the case fatality rate has fallen below 1.5%, while it's now at 1.49%. The deaths per million population is at a low of 88 deaths per million. Nearly 60,000 recoveries were recorded, taking the cumulative total of recovered patients to over 74.3 lakh. And with this, the recovery rate has gone up to 91.34%. The central government strategy of test, trace, track and treat has focused on effective containment strategy, aggressive testing and standardized clinical management protocols based on comprehensive standard of care approach, which includes the use of anticoagulants and non-invasive oxygen. And a look now at the COVID-19 situation across the worst affected states in the country. In Kerala, 7,983 persons have tested positive in the state yesterday. 7,330 patients were discharged, while 27 patients died in the past 24 hours. Now, 8 places were declared as new hotspots in the state, taking the total number of hotspots to 686. In Maharashtra, 5,548 new cases were recorded yesterday. 7,303 patients were discharged, while 74 patients died in the past 24 hours. Currently, there are 1,23,585 active cases in the state. And in the national capital, Delhi, 5,062 new cases of infections were reported as of yesterday. 4,665 patients were cured and discharged, while 41 patients lost their lives in the past 24 hours. Currently, there are 32,719 active cases in the national capital, Delhi. And Tamil Nadu continues to show steady progress in the fight against COVID-19, with the daily positivity rate staying below the 3,000 mark for the 8th day in a row. A total of 2,511 persons tested positive for the disease, for the virus across the state yesterday. 31 deaths were reported, while 3,848 patients were discharged in the past 24 hours. Now, the distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine will take place over a year and will start with healthcare workers, followed by other groups to be added sequentially. The central government has asked states and the union territories in a letter to put in place a 3-tier system to oversee the rollout of the vaccine and address any hiccups, including any rumor that may happen. Among other things, the committees will coordinate work on updating the database of the health workers, the COVID-19 vaccination beneficiary management system that the government seeks to create to ensure smooth administration of the vaccine. It is also anticipated that initially the supply of the vaccine will be limited in view of huge demand, and the prioritization of socio-demographic group will be done for the vaccination, and subsequently other groups will also be included for the vaccination. Now, the Union Home Secretary has in fact will today be reviewing the COVID-19 situation in Delhi, which has seen a sudden spike in the cases. The top officials of the Union Health Ministry and the Delhi government will attend the meeting. The review meeting is a part of the regular review of all the union territories on a rotational basis. And leading from the front, the Home Minister has ensured increased testing facilities and more hospital beds for the patients by setting up temporary hospitals and the COVID care centers. And Tamil Nadu government has announced that all the schools, colleges, research institutions and other educational institutions will open on 16th November. The State Chief Minister E.K. Palnisamy made the announcement after meetings with the district collectors and the health experts yesterday. However, only students in class 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th will be allowed to attend school for now. Movie theatres have also been allowed to reopen on 10th November. The Chief Minister said that in view of the representations received from the theatre owners, all the theatres including multiplexes and theatres at the shopping malls having more than one screen would be allowed to operate with 50% capacity from 10th November. The amusement parks, auditoriums, assembly halls, zoos and museums are also allowed to operate from 10th November. Now, tourism is a major component of income to the Kerala state government, and the sector is also employer to a large number of people directly or indirectly. But the COVID-19 pandemic has hit the sector hard, and the loss is estimated to be around 25,000 crore rupees. Now, as part of the unlock process, the Kerala government has decided to open the tourism centres in the state in 2 phases. Accordingly, in the first phase, the hill stations, the adventure resorts and the backward tourism centres including houseboats were reopened on 12th of October, strictly adhering to the COVID-19 protocol. And in the second phase, the beach tourism destinations will reopen from Sunday, the Kerala Day, that's known as the birthday of Kerala. The beaches are eagerly waiting for the tourists to come and enjoy them. And the high-pitch campaign for 2 seats of the Assembly by-elections will come to an end this evening. Though it's 2 seats, a lot is at stake for the political masters in the state. Now, this by-election is a matter of prestige for new Congress President D.K. Shivakumar and lot at stake for the Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa for a stable government and consolidating his position in the party in the remaining years. The campaign is the battle between the Congress and the BJP, with JDS also in the battle, hoping to emerge as a dark horse. And the weather updates now. Well, feeling a bit of cold in October, and so you're not alone. According to the Indian Met Department, the month of October is the coldest in 58 years in Delhi. As per information received through Indian Met Department, Delhi Regional Forecasting Centre, the mean minimum temperature in October this year was 17.2 degrees Celsius, which is the lowest since 1962, when it was 16.9 degrees Celsius. Now, Delhi has recorded a minimum temperature of 12.5 degrees Celsius on Thursday, which is the lowest in the month of October in 26 years. The last time the national capital recorded such a low temperature was in 1994, when it recorded a low of 12.3 degrees Celsius on 31st of October 1994, as per the data given by the Met Department. And the IMD's regional forecasting center has also said that the absence of cloud cover is a major reason for such low minimum temperature. For the record, Delhi has recorded its all-time low temperature of 9.4 degrees Celsius on 31st of October 1937. And let's now take a look at this ground report. Pradhanmantri Mudra Yojna was launched by Prime Minister Modi in April 2015. The objective of the scheme is to refinance collateral-free loans given by the lenders to small borrowers and provide financial security to the small traders, self-employed and women. So far, under the scheme, more than 25 crore people have availed the Mudra loans. And many people in Anandpur district of Andhra Pradesh have also benefited from the scheme and are developing their own businesses. Take a look.
Since its launch, Pradhanmantri Mudra Yojna has brought revolution in the lives of crores of small business persons and small-scale units in the country. Purandar of Anandpur district of Andhra Pradesh has also benefited from the scheme. He was struggling to expand his business, but his financial constraints stopped him from doing so. Purandar, who was in the business of selling weights, took loan under Mudra Yojna and then started selling digital weighing machines.
I used to sell stone weight, but despite having the desire to expand my business, the financial problems made it difficult for me. I got a loan of 50,000 rupees from Mudra Yojna and made digital machines available. Now my business is good and I have overcome my financial problems. Thanks to the central government for this scheme.
There's no doubt that Mudra loans provide financial security to those who pursue small businesses. There's another success story of Pandurang from Anantapur district in Andhra Pradesh. He took loan and purchased sewing machines and set up a tailoring center. According to him, it has boosted his business and his income has gone up.
I got a loan of 1 lakh rupees under the Mudra Yojna and took my own button making machine. With this, my income increased. Twice in a row, I got loan under this scheme. Banks are very sure of giving loans without any guarantee. Thanks to the central government for this.
Mudra Yojna aims to enable microfinance institutions, non-banking financial companies, small finance banks, regional rural banks and others to provide low-rate loans to eligible entities. There are 3 types of loans under Mudra Yojna: Shishu, Kishore and Tarun, classified on the basis of the amount of coverage of loan ranging from 50,000 rupees to 10 lakh rupees. The government has brought the scheme to fund the unfunded by bringing such enterprises to the formal financial system and extending affordable credit to them. DD India.
And let's now take a look at the updates on COVID-19 pandemic from across the world. Well, as of now, over 4 crore 63 lakh COVID-19 cases have been reported worldwide, with over 12 lakh deaths. Over 3 crore 34 lakh people have recovered from the virus. The US continues to top the list among the worst hit by the pandemic so far, with the highest number of infections. The US has over 94 lakh 2,000 cases of COVID-19, with a death toll surging past 2 lakh 36,000. And the UK has passed another grim milestone of 1 million COVID-19 cases, inducing another national lockdown in the country spanning across a month till December 2nd. Now, as per the new restrictions, people will only be allowed to go out for education, work, exercise, shopping for the essentials and medicines, or caring for the vulnerable, while restaurants will remain closed. With over 46,550 deaths so far from the virus, the UK has the highest COVID-19 fatality in Europe. The country has registered more than 21,910 cases in a single day, adding into the total tally of infections to over 10,11,660. Now in Austria, the government has announced a night-time curfew following an upward trend in COVID-19 cases in the country. The cafes and restaurants will also remain closed. The measures fall short of a general lockdown, with shops, industry, kindergartens and primary schools remaining open. The secondary schools and the universities will switch to distance learning, with more than 5,300 cases registered in the single day. The country's total tally of infection has crossed 1,04,900, forcing the government to take this decision. And Portugal government has also announced new lockdown restrictions in view of an upward trend in the COVID-19 cases. The restrictions will come into force from 4th November in most parts of the country. The government has urged people to avoid unnecessary outing except for work, school or shopping. The companies have also been ordered to switch remote. The country has over 1,41,270 cases of infection, with more fatalities. Prime Minister has said that the curb measures would cover 121 municipalities, including the key regions of Lisbon and Porto. The affected areas are home to about 70% of Portugal's population of roughly 10 million. And moving on now to big international updates, all the updates on US presidential elections 2020. Now, with the US presidential elections just round the corner, over 90 million Americans have cast their ballots in the US presidential elections, setting the stage for the highest participation rate in over a century. The two states, that's Hawaii and Texas, have already surpassed the entire 2016 totals. Huge number of people have voted by email or at early in-person polling sites amid concerns about the exposure to the virus at the busy election day voting places. Now, the record-breaking pace, about 65% of the total turnout in 2016, reflects the intense interest in the vote in which incumbent Donald Trump, a Republican, is up against Democratic nominee Joe Biden, a former vice president. Meanwhile, both Trump and Biden are making their last efforts to woo the voters. Trump held a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, while Biden campaigned in Flint, Michigan, in a final push across the nation to try to sway the few remaining undecided voters. Biden, joined by former President Barack Obama, slammed Trump for his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. He's also accused Trump of giving up in the fight against COVID-19, which has killed over 2.36 lakh Americans. Biden said the U.S. was done in the chaos of the Trump administration. While Trump traveled across Pennsylvania on Saturday, holding several large-scale rallies in defiance of the public health guidance and addressing his supporters, Trump said that COVID-19 will soon be eradicated from the U.S. He's warned that Biden will delay the vaccine and impose a crushing lockdown on all the Americans. And moving on now, actor Sean Connery is no more. The actor who immortalized the character with his iconic suave style and deep throat voice died aged 90 years. Connery is best remembered as James Bond, but his other roles also stood apart, one even fetching him the coveted Oscar.
Scottish movie legend Sean Connery, who shot to international stardom as the suave and sophisticated British agent James Bond and went on to grace the silver screen for 4 decades, has died aged 90. Born August 25, 1930, Sean Connery shot to international stardom as James Bond, but it was his later roles that won him acclaim for his acting. The Scottish actor was knighted by Queen Elizabeth in 2000, 2 years after he was reportedly denied the honor because of his ardent Scottish nationalism. Tall, distinguished, and with a throaty voice to match a sometimes crusty personality, Sean Connery played a series of character roles besides Bond and won an Academy Award in 1988 for his portrayal of a tough Chicago cop in The Untouchables. But for millions of film fans, he will always be remembered first as a British Agent 007, the character created by novelist Ian Fleming and immortalized by Sean Connery in film from the first in the franchise, Dr. No, in 1962. The Bond film's success made Sean Connery Britain's most popular film actor for 4 consecutive years, and he was the #1 box office attraction in American cinemas in 1966. He played the character of James Bond in 7 films. But Sean Connery was a different type from the suave, sophisticated Bond, with his impeccable social background and connoisseur's taste in wine and women. Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, Diamonds Are Forever, and Never Say Never Again were his Bond's movies. In fact, he was lured back in 1971 to make Diamonds Are Forever, and 12 years later, at the age of 53, he acted in Never Say Never Again. Sean Connery had a prolific career outside Bond, starring in The Hill, The Man Who Would Be the King, Outland, The Name of the Rose, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, The Russia House, The Hunt for Red October, The Rock, and in 2000, at the age of 70, the critically acclaimed Finding Forrester. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Now, the 200-kilometer Fit India Walkathon began along the Indo-Pakistan border in Thar Desert in Jaisalmer on the occasion of the birth anniversary of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel on Saturday. The walkathon will continue for 3 days and conclude on 2nd November. The Union Sports Minister Kiren Rijiju flagged off the fitness march organized by the ITBP in Jaisalmer. The minister praised the initiative and said that such events are inspiration for the masses to keep themselves fit. Bollywood actor Vidyu Jamwal also remained a part of that march. And with that, it's a wrap on this newscast. Buttons and updates will continue here on DD India. For the moment, thanks for being with us.